Tonight, you might talk to your dog like it understands you. You ask if it's hungry. It tilts its head. For a moment, you wonder what it would actually say back. But the real answer to that question is far stranger than anything you've imagined. Picture every animal on Earth waking up tomorrow with the ability to speak in words you understand. Not barks translated by an app. Not symbols on a screen. Full, fluent language flowing out of every creature all at once. Your first instinct would be excitement. Finally, you'd know what your cat actually thinks of you. But scientists who have spent decades trying to decode animal communication suggest the truth would be less charming and far more disorienting. Start with your pets. Dogs have lived alongside humans for roughly 15,000 years, shaped by selective breeding to read your face, your tone, your body language. They never needed words because they built an entire relationship without them. Give a dog sudden access to language, and you might discover it has almost nothing to say that isn't already obvious from its body. I'm hungry. I'm scared of the vacuum. Why did you leave? Researcher Alexandra Horowitz, who studies canine cognition at Barnard College, has long argued that dogs experience the world primarily through smell, not narrative thought. Translating that into human language might flatten an entire universe of meaning your ears were never built to receive. Now think bigger. What about a prairie dog? That sounds like a joke. It isn't. Biologist Khan Slobodchikov spent over 30 years recording prairie dog alarm calls and found something startling. The animals weren't just warning each other that a predator was near, they were describing it. His research suggests prairie dogs could specify size, shape, color, and even the speed of an approaching threat, essentially building tiny sentences out of chirps. If a prairie dog could suddenly speak English, it might describe a hawk circling above with more precision than you'd expect from a rodent the size of your shoe. So if a prairie dog can already do that without words you recognize, what happens when the gap between species disappears completely? Chaos, probably. Not violence. Confusion. Because language was never the missing piece. Intent was always there. What changes is your ability to hear it, and hearing it doesn't mean agreeing with it. Crows would tell you they remember your face from 3 years ago, the day you didn't share your sandwich. Elephants would describe grief in detail that would be hard to sit with, especially knowing that researcher Joyce Poole has documented elephants returning to the bones of dead relatives for years afterward, touching them gently with their trunks. Whales might speak of songs passed down for generations, changing slowly like cultural trends, the way the songs themselves were first proven to evolve over time, almost like music charts beneath the ocean. And livestock? That's where it gets uncomfortable. A pig on a farm wouldn't need poetry to make its point. It would need one sentence. The kind of sentence that changes how an entire civilization thinks about food, about cages, about what counts as a life worth listening to. Within days, the planet's relationship with animals would fracture into something closer to diplomacy than ownership. Zoos would face protests they couldn't survive. Farms would face questions they couldn't answer with marketing. Pet owners would face their own dogs asking in plain words why they're left alone for 9 hours a day. Here's the strange part. Humans have already run smaller versions of this experiment. Psychologist Irene Pepperberg spent 30 years working with an African gray parrot named Alex, who learned to identify colors, shapes, and quantities, and who, near the end of his life, said the words, "You be good, I love you," the night before he died. Pepperberg never claimed Alex held human-level understanding, but she proved something quieter and more important. The line between communication and language was blurrier than science wanted to admit. Maybe that's the actual twist. Animals were never silent. You were never listening. The dog at your feet tonight isn't waiting for words. It's already telling you everything, in the only language it's ever needed. The stranger question isn't what would happen if animals could suddenly talk. It's why you assumed they couldn't.